Hi guys, welcome to our second edition of Recruitment Journeys. Today we have an athlete who's a professional athlete in the USA. We're very much excited to have this guy. He has a very interesting journey as he was once a student athlete at the University of Northwestern Ohio, and he also was at Prince Edward High School, and he also went to Beatrice High School, which is something that I hadn't noticed myself. So he's been pretty much around, and then he has a story that we guys are hoping that you guys are going to draw inspiration from the story. Shows you it's possible, shows you what happens when you get to the States, shows you what you can do with your life as an athlete, especially when you're an educated athlete, the importance of education as a backup for your success as well. So may you please introduce yourself. We're happy to have you. May you please introduce yourself to the guys.
Thank you. My name is Tendai Jirira. I'm a professional soccer player for Detroit City FC. That's in the United States, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we are also very excited to have you here. So how's been your stay in the United States?
Yeah, my stay here has been great. Obviously, the time difference is the main thing that I noticed first when I came here. Right now it's like in the morning, and I know most of you guys it's like in the evening, so it's very, very different.
Yeah, that's true. So I think a lot of people would then want to know, you're one of the few Zimbabwean professional players that are currently in the United States right now. How does it feel for you to be one of those elite few guys who've been able to make it as professional players in the United States?
Yeah, it feels really great. Obviously, like my journey, like you said, has been a different one, and it's been challenging along the way. To make a lot of sacrifices. There was a lot of challenges, but at the end of the day, it just feels great, and I feel like I haven't really achieved anything. Still want continue doing my part, doing the best I can, and continue achieving more and more.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting. So you did your high school at Prince Edward High School, right? How did you end up in the States, some 18,233 kilometers away from home? How did that happen?
Yeah, so I was in Prince Edward, and it just so happened. So after I finished, I joined Worldwide Scholarships at the time, and they invited scouts, to come watch players and try to get scholarships. But unfortunately, things didn't work out with Worldwide Scholarships. So I ended up joining Friendly Academy, which was a very new academy led by Richard Salabala. And they kind of guided me and helped me in finishing the process. The scout came from here in the United States. He was a technical director for FC Dallas. And he saw me play, very intrigued by the way I played. And he thought I was going to be a great fit, for the style of play in the United States. So kept in touch with him, and, that helped me through the process of, transitioning from Zimbabwe and then going to University of Northwestern Ohio.
Okay, that's great. So, how's been that transition? How was that transition for you? Because now you're a professional soccer player. You're obviously now used to being in the United States. But then, how were your initial days, your first days being a student athlete in Lima, Ohio? It's one of the coldest places that I've personally been to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how was that transition? You're a guy from Zimbabwe. You're a guy from Prince Edward High School, and then all of a sudden you are away from home.
So when I first came here, obviously I want to thank my family because they made a lot of sacrifices for me to be here. Obviously through the whole process, of visas and all that stuff. But the first, obviously, when I first came, it was right in the middle of the winter time.
Yeah.
And I'm coming from Zimbabwe, and it's I'm coming from sunshine, Yeah. And it was my first time seeing snow. So I didn't even know, that it was going to be this cold. So here I am, I'm wearing a short and a t-shirt, coming out of the dorm. And I'm like, all right, let me see what this snow is all about. But, 5 seconds later, I realized, this is not something you want to mess with. So I ran back inside the house. Kind of my experience at first. And obviously, there was a lot of obviously, I was trying to figure out what was going on because everything just looked different. obviously that's how it's supposed to feel. It's a new environment. Cars run a different way than it is back home. So it was like, all right, I got to get my mind situated. And then the time zone too, it's like, oh wait, like I'm tired, but like it's still like afternoon, you know, because of like, you know, the time difference. So those are just a few things.
Yeah. So I remember talking to you a couple of years ago, and then honestly, the level of football there at Lima was levels ahead of other NIA programs. You guys had a very good thing going on with Coach Gavin. So on the soccer side, how was that transition? You're coming from Prince Edward High School, where you were playing high school soccer, which is obviously different, and then all of a sudden you're now thrown into one of the ranked teams in the nation at University of Northwestern Ohio. How was that transition now on the soccer side?
Yeah, I mean that transition was good because for me, since I came, you know, in January, that was like the preseason, you know, because you know, we were doing like workouts and stuff like that, and we're still training, but our season was well ahead, like in August, so I had enough time, you know, to adjust, like, you know, through the whole process. And obviously, the first thing that I noticed was like I wasn't strong enough. You know, like, you know, other guys were like, they've been lifting, you know, they're ready. So I had to get on a plan. So I actually get stronger. You know, that was the first thing. And then the second thing that I noticed was like a lot of players were very, very technical. I'm sure you'll notice like a lot of players, like, you know, they're coming from different places, Spain, Brazil, and all that stuff. So they're very, very technical, and they've been working on that from a very young age. You know, whereas for me, yeah, I am, you know, technical to some degree, like I know the game, but there's a lot of components that didn't make me a complete player at that time. So it was a good thing because like I quickly saw what I needed to work on and was willing to, you know, to put in the work so I could get to the level that I needed to get to, so I can, you know, help out the team.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, as you rightly mentioned, the guys from Brazil, they obviously a little bit more technically better, and then there's also the tactical side of it to speak of. So now, what surprised you the most about the USA, and how can you compare soccer there in the USA and soccer in Zim? What would you say are the main differences, and what really surprised you initially when you got there?
I mean, obviously, like for me, outside the soccer side, what's really surprised me was the food area. You know, like yeah, back home, like I'm used to like eating at home with my family, like every day, and then now, like, oh, you know, you got food abundance. There's like, you know, a lot of like, you know, you can just take out really. So that was a surprising part. But from a football standpoint, I think what surprised me the most was the pace of the game. It's very, very fast paced, unlike back home. Everything was quick, you know, whether we're transitioning from like, you know, from defense to attack, everything was just very, very fast. So obviously that had to be worked on from preseason, you know, getting into the season, because that's what my coach wanted. You know, that's the style of play that he wanted. So that was really, really good.
And then how was the competition? I remember coming to see guys like Kida. This is a very strong kid who's gonna give you a run for your money any day. So how was the competition for you now? You get to the States, you're playing with guys from Brazil, you're playing with guys from South America, guys from Europe, you've got guys from Trinidad and Tobago, you've got guys who've been lifting, and obviously at a level where you feel, as you rightly say, you felt you were not the finished product yet. So how was that competition getting to you now?
Yeah, I think it was good competition. It was good competition because it didn't break me. It actually made me to be stronger. You know, it made me to be better. I feel if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't be in that same boat of, oh, I want to, you know, get better and better and better. So I think it's a very important thing having, like, you know, a team like that, you know, where everybody wants to win, everybody wants to be better, and everybody's pushing each other to get better. You know, it's like making a mistake or you're struggling somewhere, like, you know, you got your teammates coming and saying, all right, try to do this. And like, you know, that because they know at the end of the day, it's not just about you, it's about the team. So if one person, is not doing well, then the whole team doesn't do well. So if everybody does well, then the whole team does well. And I think that's what everybody bought into. They understood from the goal that we're here for, for purpose. And we did well. We did really, really well.
Yeah, your program was really good. I was generally impressed. Even when you're looking at your highlight video, you can see that there's that team chemistry. There's that understanding that you guys had as a unit, and also with Gavin being there as mentoring you guys, it was a really good program. So with Gavin being one of the best coaches around, and then also having that diverse pool of talent, and you've got people from different philosophies. Like, how was that? You're coming from a Zimbabwean perspective, and then you meet guys with the Brazilian perspective, guys with the European perspective, and then you also have Gavin, who's coming from England as a coach. So how was that diversity in terms of talent for you guys?
Yeah, it was a very good diversity. Because first off, I think what my coach Gavin did well was he recruited players that he felt fitted his style of play. It wasn't just like picking random guys and saying, all right, get together and play. No, he knew what he wanted, and he made it known from, when we started. And he didn't shut you down, like in terms of like your style of play, like the way you like to play. He was open how you play, because he knew that if, you maybe, for example, you're a winger and you're skillful and you like dribbling, we use that to your advantage. Okay. If you're a center back and you're good at like pinging the ball, we use that to our advantage. So it was like a good mix of like different elements of the game for different players that helped us to be a one good team.
Yeah, so that was evident. You guys would win your conference pretty much all the time. So then you made it. You made it to the national tournament, and unfortunately, you guys lost in the semi-final. But then this is a huge achievement for someone who's in college. You've made to the top 4 nations in the country out of 400 schools in the United States.
Yeah.
How was that feeling for you guys? You've made it. Obviously, you wanted to go to the final, but being in the semi-final itself was an achievement. How was that feeling for you guys?
I think it was devastating. It was devastating losing in the semifinal because we had worked very, very hard, to get to that point. And we had obviously made a lot of sacrifices. Unfortunately, that's the game. That's part of the game. We did all we could, and that's the best we could get at the time. So, we had to move on from that and focus on on the next year, which we actually went to the national tournament again. But this time we lost in the quarterfinals. But now it just goes to show like how guys really wanted to be there, showcase their talent, how much they wanted to win. So yeah, that was a very, very good feeling just being there. I mean, obviously, yeah, we lost in the semis, but it was just a great experience and a good feeling just knowing that we were one of the best teams in the nation, and we could have won it. Unfortunately, things just happened.
Yeah. So now moving to the social side of it, right? How was college? How was it? How was the social side of? How was it being in college? There's also that diversity now. It's no longer just on the soccer field now. You're getting classmates. You're getting people from different walks of life, from different backgrounds. How was that on the social side?
Yeah. I mean, college was great. College was very great. As you know, Lima is a very small area, and my was pretty small, so our classes tend to be small as well. Obviously, coming from Zimbabwe, like there's a lot of things that you wouldn't know. So I needed guidance, which the school provided. Having counselors and stuff, and also like I try to make it a point that I get to know like a lot of my classmates. So like if I have any issues or concerns like with any topics, like what's going on, I'm easily available to ask, like, oh, hey, like how do you do this and how to do that. So that also helped as well. So yeah, it was very different. It was very different. Obviously, like I come in the classroom and I'm looking around and I'm like, all right, I'm like the only African in here, like
yeah.
But the end of the day, like, I knew what I came to do. Like, all right, I'm here to play soccer, but at the same time, I know how important education is. So I have to, I have to on that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a bed of roses, as some people might want to think. College has its hardships as well. So what were your hardships? Or what are the hardships that you faced as a student athlete while you were at UNO?
I think one of the hardships I faced was the culture difference. Yeah, I think that took me a long time to adjust to. Just because there are so many things that us, for example, as Zimbabweans, find acceptable, but that might not be found acceptable here. You see, so it's a way of life, right? So if you're used to doing certain things, and they're acceptable, now you got to go into a different environment, and now you have to change those things because they're not acceptable. You see, so those were some of the things that it wasn't just you know it right away. Like, you had to go through the process of learning, like, no, this is not it, this is not it. And yeah, like, people talk about it, but at the same time, like, you have to experience it to know, all right, this is not the way to do it. Okay, I got to do it a different way, so I can adapt to what's on around me.
Yeah, I think everybody adapting to something new is never easy. It's a process in itself. But then, obviously, now, what did you study now? So you were there as a student athlete at UNO, but then what did you study?
I was studying business administration. So I got my bachelor's degree in business administration.
Okay. And then how do you balance the two? So obviously, we've been talking about you guys being one of the best programs in the United States, which also means that you guys had a lot of travel, a lot of games, and then you also had to be in class as well. How do you balance being one of the top or the busiest programs in the nation, and also being a business major? How do you balance that as well?
Yeah, the main focal point for me was time management, right? It's all about time management. Just because, like, your schedule during the day was very, very tight. There was really not enough time for you to, like, all right, like, now I'm like resting. Because it was just constant. Like, you go to class, after class, like, you want to train, after training, now you got to go to study tables, like, and after study tables, you go home, and it's already like late, it's already 11 or 12 at the time. So it was like constant, like, you gotta know, what you gotta have a plan for what you want to do. Times, like, yes, at times, like, we traveled, and you see like guys, like, doing like the homework and assignments, like, on the bus.
Yeah.
Because there's no excuse, even if you're coming home at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, you still have to wake up at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock and go to class. Yeah, so that's what it meant to being a student athlete. Like, you got to be able to manage your time, and I think I did a good job with that.
Yeah, obviously. So you now, even as a professional, you also an educated professional now. You did your business management degree. You're done with that. So what would you say are some of your fondest memories in college? We know college being college, you make a lot of memories. What would you say you miss about being in college? Some of your fondest memories as a student athlete and also as a student.
Obviously, like, for me, like, what I miss about college was, the same year that we went to the national tournament, and lost in the semifinals. I think that was one of the best years in college. From the beginning of the year, when we're doing workouts and stuff, like, I think everybody was enjoying it. Everyone was having fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, we had friction, but it was one of those moments where it's like, you look at your team and you're like, man, like, we're a very, very good team, like,
Yeah.
football. So at the end of the day, like, I feel that was like the best memory that I have from college.
Okay, so now let's say you had a chance to go back in time, the Will Smith kind of time. What advice would you give to your younger self? Let's say a college going Tendai, what would you say to a college going Tendai today? You've obviously learned from experiences. You've grown. You're now a mature person. What advice would you go back and say, you know what, Tendai, do this different? Or Tendai, continue doing this. What advice would you give to yourself?
The advice I'll give myself is enjoy it because it goes by very fast. It goes by super fast. Before you know it, it's like already 4 years. But yeah, you gotta enjoy it. And I mean, from a positive side of things, like you have to work very, very hard for what you want. So if you're saying, "Oh, I want to be, a professional soccer player," which I told myself in college, then you gotta make the sacrifices beyond just like training with the team, beyond just lifting. You gotta make the time. You gotta put in the effort, to do that. For example, for me, like even after we finished training, like the day I was done, I've already gone to study tables. I'll still make time to go to the field and kick around, run and all that stuff. And that's behind closed doors because I knew what I wanted. I knew I had to make that sacrifice. It wasn't, it's never going to come on a silver plate, right? You got to put in that. Yeah, so you have to put in the effort. So, and that's what I did. And I'm very proud of myself for doing that. And obviously, I'm enjoying the fruits of my labor. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So now, as a professional footballer, I'm quite sure you get people coming up to you and then say, Tendai, I'm currently a student. What advice would you give me as a student athlete? I want to be like you. But what advice would you give me as a student athlete?
Yeah, I mean, if you, I've had people come to me and approach me about that, and I always tell them the same thing. It's one thing if you say, "Oh, hey, like, I want to be, a professional soccer player," but at the same time, you have to have a backup plan. It's not just about soccer. You also got to focus on your education. So if what you're going to school for, whatever it is, you gotta give 100%. So you gotta give. There's no time for 50% here and then I want to give 100% there. No, you gotta give everything that you have 100% because you never know what's going to happen. Yes, you might say be a professional soccer player, you get injured. Like there's so many things that could happen.
Yeah, that's true.
You have a backup plan. So education is very, very important no matter what. You see, I'm old. Yeah, I'm gonna get old. I can't play soccer for the rest of my life. But I know that even after I'm done, I know I have my degree. I can do something that's related to my degree. You see now. So that's what's important about having a good balance, knowing, okay, fine, I just don't have one plan, but I have, at least 2 other plans. So in case like this doesn't work out, even if after I've done all that I need to do, then I can have something else.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's some of the beauties that come with being an educated athlete is even at times when you're done, people would rather work with you because they feel that you're more professional and you understand how the business world runs better because they're looking at your educational qualifications. So it's easier for you to then say, after college, after being a professional soccer player, this is what I'm going to do professionally.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very good thing to have a backup plan. So now, before we move to talking about you as a professional soccer player and how you got to be a professional soccer player, we're gonna ask a few questions that are completely off topic from what we've been talking about. Maybe a little bit of my personal question and everything. So I got people who've been looking at your posters and then they say, "Is this guy single? Is he dating?" That's a question that the ladies have been asking.
Yeah. I'm not single, lady. I am not. I have a girlfriend. Her name is Kelly. She's amazing. Yeah, we've been dating for a while. So that's already out of the picture.
Okay. So now on there is a current debate in soccer on coaches in the English Premiership. Who would you rather play for, Klopp or Guardiola?
For me, I mean, I'll definitely have to go with Klopp. Just because I think if I had the opportunity to play for him, I would fit in the system really, really well. Don't get me wrong, like I like Pep. Pep is really awesome. He's amazing. It's amazing what he's done with Man City, and of which I mean maybe Messi might sign for them. So that might be an interesting thing too. But I think Klopp's style fits me more just because I'm a wingback. You see, and the way they play, the wingbacks push a lot more in helping attack. You see now, so that's the reason why I really really enjoy it.
Playing for Klopp. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, like you definitely what people have been saying on the Facebook post that you definitely the left back that people need in Zim to complement Tendai Jirira on the right side. As you see, he's called the commander or the general for very good reason. He's very good leadership skills and also that ability to play as a wing back. Something that like modern football is moving towards that now. You've got your Alphonso Davies, you've got your Alexander Trent Arnold. These are the guys that are now transforming how football is played. So yeah, I also think you'd also fit that system as well. Now, going into a little bit of controversy now. Who do you think deserves to be named Premier League Player of the Year between De Bruyne and Mane?
It's a very interesting thing. Because obviously, the first thing they played two totally different positions, right? But at the same time, I think I'm gonna go towards Kevin De Bruyne, because he's been very. Don't get me wrong, mine has been the same, but he's been very very consistent in the whole entire season. And he's been creative. Like, it's not just about, just him. Like he's been helping the team like in ways that like, you were like, wow, like did he just do that? I see him ball, taking shots. And so I think Kevin De Bruyne actually really, really deserved it. But also had a really great season. So they were both very, very good players.
Yeah, personally I'll go with Mane, to be honest. For me, Mane carried a little bit more weight in his team. He scored some crucial goals as well. And without him in the team, you'd actually feel that absence. And when it comes to Kevin, I think we're at that time where maybe I think the younger generation is really going to come in. Like when we're speaking about next Ballon d'Or kind of players, I think we're no longer talking about Kevin De Bruyne. We're now talking about the Mbappes. We're now talking about, although hopefully looking forward to the guys like Alexander Trent Arnold and the Greenwoods coming up. So I think, he's a good player. But for me, I would have gone with Mane. I personally, maybe it's me being African and then wanting to root for an African as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now everybody talks about Cristiano Ronaldo. And I think a lot of people are now tired of being asked that question, right? So I'm going to see how much you know about this guy. And who would you choose as the greatest ever between Maradona and Pele?
So that's a tough question. That's a very tough question. Because they're both very, very good players. For me, I think I'm gonna go more towards Maradona.
Okay.
But part of it is because I think if it wasn't for Maradona, then we wouldn't really have players like Messi. And Messi is a genius. He's unreal, unbelievable. He's out of this world, right? I think he's one of the best players ever in the world. Obviously, when you're comparing the time, because I've had conversation about this, like who do you think would have been better, like Maradona or Messi and all that stuff. Like obviously you got to look at like how like the style of play was back in the day, and how much it changed. So obviously you can see like now the game has like changed so much. Like there's so many things about it like that. I feel like if we put them in back in the days, it would have been a totally different story. Like we probably wouldn't have like be talking about like Maradona or Pele just because of how like now it's like harder, right? So yeah, I'm gonna lean towards Maradona because obviously he was left-footed. His style of play, like dribbling and all that stuff. So I think that that led to the new evolution of like, you know, Messi, because obviously he grew up learning that style of play and building and molding into it. And now you see how he is. Like, he's just unreal.
Yeah, he's unreal. Yeah, so I think we agree there. I'm also a Maradona guy. It's unfortunate the guy didn't really get to live up to the full potential of his career with the drugs and everything coming up. But then that doesn't take away from the fact that he was on another level.
Yeah.
You created memories that we can talk to even years from now. And then, so I think for me, yeah, Maradona definitely. So now coming back home, George Shaya or Moses Chunga. This is this is a debate. This is a debate.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Geez, that one's a hard one. It's a hard one. Was Chunga did one. Chunga, yeah. Chunga was good. But I'm gonna go with George Shire.
You're gonna pull George Shire.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with George Shire. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think it's unfortunate when we talk about those guys. Some of us, we then now have to refer to books. We now have to refer to newspaper articles that talk about them. We don't really get to compare footage as you would compare footage between Pele and Maradona and stuff. But then, I think Shaya was a good player. I think you can also have to look at from the 60s up to the 70s. He was always being voted player of the year. So definitely, it has to be him. So now we talk about your journey to pro soccer, its assholes and its successes as well. MLS Super Draft, right? So when people speak about college and what opportunities come to you as a college student, there has to be one of the things that people mention, making the draft, right? So you made the draft as a student athlete, and then you made a super draft, right? So let's talk about that. How did it feel to make the draft?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a very, very good feeling. Because how everything just, you know, happened. Like, it was just like quick, like, you know, oh, I'm already in the, you know, I'm in the draft. Oh, I'm in the super draft. Same time, like, I was very confident in my abilities, because I already knew like how much I, you know, sacrificed to, you know, to get to that point. So, you know, I was very, very confident that I was gonna get a team and all that stuff. So it's a great achievement for me, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without my teammates, right? Because, you know, sport. But at the same time, like, we had a great season that year. You know, we went to the national tournament that year, and fortunately enough, you know, like, coming from an NAI small school, this was the only, you know, when you go to the national tournament, of actually getting noticed by scouts. So it just so happened when we're there, you know, there were some scouts who were there, and I ended up chatting with one from Seattle Sounders, which is one of the biggest MLS teams here. And obviously that sparked an interest. Like, you know, this kid, like, you know, he's playing for a small school, but like, you know, you could see like, all right, this, you know, there's so much potential. So it was very helpful. So I was very excited to be in there. But unfortunately, things didn't turn out, you know, the way I wanted to turn out. But I just had to keep on going.
Yeah. So for people who don't know about this, how does a student athlete get to be in the draft? How did that happen? How did that happen for you? How does it happen for other student athletes?
Yeah. So how it happened for me was, like I mentioned, we went to the national tournament, and a scout was there who was watching, and he got in contact with my coach, and he told me that, you know, I was getting an invitation, you know, to go to the MLS Combine, you know, where there were, you know, some MLS teams watching players. So I mean, this is like a little like a pool of players, you know, from all over the country, who've been, you know, handpicked, selected, you know. So, you know, you play like different games and stuff like that, like, so they see where you are, and then they can, you know, pick who they really want for, you know, for each and every team that's there. Yeah. So at the time, it was in Las Vegas. So I went there, and, you know, I met a few other guys that I already knew. and made new friends too. Some I've been in touch with like ever since then. Um, and and you can see like obviously like this is not just like like average players. This is like, all right, this is the elite of the elite. This is the cream. So you obviously you have to prove that you are good. You're good enough. You have to prove. You got to trust your skill levels. The technical side, the tactical side, they all look at all that stuff, your strength and all that. So everything was all together. And for me, I think the biggest thing was speed. Obviously I played as a wing back, and coaches like that. They like that I can run forward. I can track back, and I'm fast. So I had to try to use my strength.
Okay, that's good. So in your response, you mentioned about you making friends. You also mentioned about the soccer aspect of it. So this shows that it was just more than you making the draft. It was more than you being at the MLS Combine. It was an experience in its own. And so what would you say you took from the experience? And then any learning points from that as well?
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of learning points. And that's one thing I love about the game is you're always going to learn something from every situation, right? I mean, you can say, hey, I really had a great game. I did well, but there's always going to be some points where you say, all right, like this I could have done better, right? Because that's what you want. So for me, I mean, it was an experience that I wanted to get more and more. I was hungry. I was very, very hungry to get better. Okay, it wasn't just here, I'm playing, and then that's it. No, it was all right, fine. I'm here, and I'm listening to what the coaches are saying, and I'm implementing what they're saying. But I'm also still hungry to learn more, right? And I still had that drive even after the MLS Combine, because I was like, there's so much you can learn about the game, and it's one thing like to be a good player, but it's also another thing when you have a great coach who's willing, to take you under the wings and guide you in the right direction, which is what I credit, to my current coach, Coach Trevor James, which he's one of the best coaches I've ever had. He's been a scout for Barcelona. He's worked with like a lot of teams, like even like the Etos and all that stuff. So with Ronaldo, so he knows, he's been in the game, and he made it a point that he took me under his wings, and it's been eye opening. It's been eye opening because there's so many things you learn and you try to implement, and you see the game in a whole different level.
Yeah, that's true. So I think with anybody who's made the draft, you see yourself getting a team, you see yourself playing in the MLS, right? And then it didn't go as planned. You didn't end up getting an MLS team. How did you take that, and how did you bounce back from that?
Yeah, I mean, it was very devastating, because I was so confident that I was going to get a team. Things happen, and things that you don't plan for. But that didn't stop me, because the next step for me was I gotta go to different tryouts for teams, and hopefully someone pick me up. So yeah, I went to different teams, North Carolina, Charlotte Battery, and obviously it was challenging, because now it's like not just are you a good player, but also like can you gel in with the team, and that's also the other aspect of it. And I ended up getting invited to a Midwest Combine, which Boise Kumalo and Coach Eric Brandon, were present, and they're the ones who organized it. And that's pretty much the same thing, like just trying to get guys to get noticed by big teams, and it was invitation only as well. So it was elite of the elite, and it was very, very professional the way they run it. Yeah, so I was there, and unfortunately things didn't work out too. I wanted them to again, but that still didn't stop me, So I ended up playing for Coach Rodden. He had a semi-professional team that was in the summer. And for me, it was a platform for me to keep on, learning, keep on growing as a player and waiting for my, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, so now Detroit, you're now in Detroit, Detroit FC. I see a lot of the fans like you. I gotta talk about the guys like Amanda. I saw you have quite a huge following. So how did Detroit come into the picture now? How did you end up playing for Detroit FC?
Yeah, so I was playing for Cincinnati Dash Lions, which is a developmental league. That's also another aspect of like the U.S. So usually, like for college players, if you're in college in the summer, you can go look for a developmental like team to play for. Just get more knowledgeable about the game. Get noticed, and people know about you, right? Because like some players like in college, like teams already know about them from like their freshman year.
Yeah.
So it's very important for you to get your name out there, like if you want to play professional here. So yeah, I was playing for Cincinnati Dash Lions, and fortunately enough, I got a tryout with Lansing Ignite, which was a new professional team at the time. But things didn't work out well because of like black paperwork and all that stuff. So I was transitioning back to Cincinnati Dash Lions, and it just so happened that Detroit City were a semi-pro team at the time, and they were transitioning to get into a professional team. So I got in touch with the coach, and he invited me for a tryout. And I went for the tryout, and it was like I felt at home. It was like Detroit City FC. I always refer to like a Dimbari. That's how it feels, man. That's how it feels. Like it's like right in the community, and I just felt at home. So like my teammates, like they took me in. Everybody was happy that I was there. They could see or this guy is like what we need. And for sure, like I had to prove myself that I deserve to be there. And I remember like it was my first game, and I'm playing against Boise Kumalo's team, FC and Albert. And I had one of the best games. Like I had an assist. I dribbled from all the way from the 18, almost close to the 18, to the other 18, to have an assist. So, it was a good feeling, knowing that all right, I think I'm in the right place. So it's a great feeling knowing like the Detroit here, that they're so passionate about the game. They're so involved. The fans, amazing. We have 8,000, 9,000 fans at every game. So everybody's just into it. And it's not just about football. It's also about like stuff that's going on outside of football. They always support everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the guys like you. Like on Twitter, we were telling people about the interview, and then you get people from Detroit, the fans, and then they keep on saying, "Hey, Tendai, we like you," and everything, and then they keep on liking the tweet. So which means that you're now at home, you definitely must feel like you're at home. So now, as you say, Dimbare, there's a culture that comes with being at a certain club. Each and every team has its culture. They have the way of doing things. And now I believe by now you have settled. How have you settled into that culture? And what would you say about the culture of the team?
Yeah, the culture here, like it's amazing. Like like I was saying, like obviously we have a lot of fans, but it's just a different atmosphere to be in. Like especially playing in front of those fans. Everybody's different rooting for you, and they have smoke bombs going on. It's just they've already set a culture, and like just recently, the club obviously announced that we want to sell shares to the public, and of course like the fans are buy because they want to be involved in the runnings of the club. Yeah, and so we've had a very, very good culture, a very winning culture, a very driven culture. So like, for example, like a day before a game, like I already know that I'm gonna get like, messages
Yeah.
and tweet, okay, like good luck, tomorrow,
Yeah.
like for your game. That's how much they're very involved in the game.
Yeah, that's very positive, and I think that's very exciting for you now. So taking the spotlight away from you a bit, we're going to talk about your coach. His name is Trevor
Mhm.
James. He's one of the most respected coaches in the USA. He's worked as a scout for FC Barcelona. He's coached for LA Galaxy. He's been at DC United. How is it working under such a big name? You was
I think in the beginning it was very heavy, because it was one of those things you know you have to chew on it. You gotta chew on it. Yeah,
uh,
thinking about this is the guy who's like Coach Ronaldo, like Eto, like he's a guy who's seen like a lot about the game. He's coached like with Mourinho, like all these like coaches and players that we talk about today. He's seen some of them, like some of the biggest players, and here he is, in person, and like he's coaching you. So that it was one of those things. Like I had to like let it sink in. Like, oh, okay,
yeah.
and I have a lot of respect for Coach James, not just from a football standpoint, but even from a personal standpoint, because he's just an amazing character to be around. He's very genuine, and he wants the best for everybody. He wants players to move on and play at high levels,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows that anybody can play those levels if you put in the time and effort. Um, and with his guidance, like for sure, like you can play at those levels.
Uh-huh.
So it's been an eye opener. It's been an amazing journey, um, um, and now we've created a bond. Because he's a TJ and I'm a TJ, so I'm like
Oh. Okay.
He's got a great philosophy in terms of the game. He knows how he wants to play, and he knows like how to get the best out of you. So it's been an amazing journey so far.
Yeah, that's what they say about some of the best coaches in the world. It's not about them just being intelligent and knowing what to do, but then it's also that ability to get the best out of your players, get them to perform
Mm.
at the level that you really want them to perform. So I think it's a very exciting thing that you're working with some of the big names in the world of sport, actually, because he's not just big in the USA. He's been part of some of the biggest clubs in the world. So now, the question, we all see the glitz and glam. We see people throwing the smoke bombs. We see you scoring nice goals. We see you making intro videos for your club and advertising for your club as well. But then their demands that come with being a professional soccer player. How do you deal with those demands, and what are these demands?
Yeah, I mean, being a soccer player, like being a professional soccer player, it's not just about the glamour, like you said. Like there's always other things like that people don't see. It's one thing to show up for a game and play 90 minutes, but people don't see the amount of time and effort that has been put, before that to prepare for that one game.
Yeah,
People don't see like how much effort like a coach puts in, like watching videos and highlights like of other teams before we get to that game. So yeah, it's very, very demanding. It's very demanding. Like and not just from a football standpoint. There's also other demands from outside of football, right? Obviously, you got family and friends like being away from home. Like you got to worry about like trying to help out the community. So those are like some of the things you got to think about. As a soccer player, and it's very important to have a level head. Especially when you deal with stuff like that, because there's a lot of expectations. Of things that you need to do, but there's also reality of like things that you can do, right? So that's the other part of it. So yeah, there are some demands, but I think it's also very important for you to be able to manage everything.
Yeah, that's true. So you guys recently won the Great Lake region. You won the inaugural season. That's a big achievement. That's a big achievement. It's something that we even saw in the local newspapers back here in Zimbabwe. We saw
Yeah.
all the trophy in H Metro, if I'm not mistaken, and it got people noticing you. Now, but then how did it feel for you as an individual? This is Tendai Jirira from Zimbabwe. We're talking about Tendai Jirira, who was at Prince Edward, was being at Beatrice High School in Harare. Now, he's now won silverware as a professional soccer player. How does this feel? How did it feel for you?
Yeah, it felt really great. It felt really great. Obviously, it was one of those moments where, you know, you kind of reflect, you know, on your journey or where you've come from. But at the same time, like I'm enjoying it, and I'm already thinking like, okay, so what's next? You know, person I am super competitive. I'm like, all right, like, what's next? Like, let's get it. And I remember at the time, like, you know, we were focusing on the MLS Cup, which was the next thing that was coming up, and we won it too. So, yeah, it was a very good feeling, because I mean, obviously, you look at, like, you know, the sacrifice that you make, you look at the time and effort that you put in, you know, to get into that point, and it's very refreshing just knowing that, like, all your efforts and all your hard work was not in vain, right? Like, you know, at least, like, you know, it shows like, all right, I've done all this, like, in the past, and here I am, like, I'm now enjoying the fruits, you know, of, like, everything that I've done.
Yeah, that's true. So you currently guys are playing games. I saw you played against the Tendam Krua's team, I think it should be a week ago. So what are your goals this now as a professional soccer player? What are your immediate goals and your long-term goals as well?
Yeah, for my short-term goals, the games that we're playing like right now are just pretty much like preseason for us, getting ready for the bubble tournament that's coming up in September. And at that tournament, that's where it counts the most, you know, because we are fighting for winning the title there. And guys, you know, I try to gel in and buy into the system. Like, we got a lot of new guys coming into our team, you know. So they're trying to learn, like, how we play and how we interact with each other and stuff. So you know, that's the main focus on the short-term perspective, and from a long-term perspective, obviously I want to be able to play, you know, at a higher level than this, you know. Yes, it is competitive, but I still want to push myself and get to a point where I know, hey, like, I've done everything I could, and I've played at the highest level that I could, right? So that's also my long-term goal, and I also want to play for the national team. So, you know, hopefully, if I get a call up, like, you know, I'll be ready, you know, to represent my country. I think that's one of the biggest achievements for any athlete, really.
Yeah,
being able to represent the country. So hopefully that can happen.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to seeing you in the Warriors setup, to be honest. The team has been developing recently. You see there is now a little bit more exposure, differently from back in the day, where you would get a lot of the core of the team coming from the South African Absolute Premiership. Now you've got guys like Marshall Munetsi playing in France. You've got guys like Tino Kadewere. You've got guys who are playing. And then you still have your knowledge Sonas, you still have your Kama Billions, you can die cost. And then I think it will also be good to see you in that setup, because I personally believe as a left back, yeah, you're good enough, and hopefully you will get a national team call up soon. So apart from being just a professional footballer, you also Tendai Jirira, the person. What goals do you have apart from goals that are just situated within you just being a professional soccer player? What goals does Tendai Jirira have as Tendai Jirira, who's also the person who's a professional soccer player?
Yeah, I mean, some of my goals are just, you know, being able to spend time with my family at some point. Obviously, I've been here for a long time, and like I said, it's a sacrifice, right? You know, you got to make a huge sacrifice. So hopefully, I get to see my family soon. Unfortunately, you know, because of COVID, like, you know, things are a little bit different, you know, this year. But hopefully get better. And yeah, I'm getting also to that age, you know, where, you know, I'm getting older, you know. I'm sure way along the lines, like I have to settle down and set my own family. So that's also another goal. Like I gotta be realistic about. Yeah, those are like two of my main goals right now.
Yeah, you're not close to being called Uncle Tendai.
Yeah. What did I actually say being called Uncle Rick? So.
Okay, so I think for the local guys, let's say there's a kid here in Zimbabwe who's looking at this. What would you advise the kid who wants to be like Tendai and achieve maybe more than what you've achieved? But then, what advice would you give them as someone that they look up to as well?
Yeah, I mean, my advice would be, be yourself. That's I think that's one of the best things that you can do as a person, as a player. You have to be yourself. You have to believe in yourself, no matter what. It's very important that that you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. If you tell yourself, I want to be a professional soccer player, that means that everything that you put in, has to be towards that. So it's like I was saying before, it's not about giving 50%. It's about giving 110%, because there's a lot of people don't see, past I'm a professional soccer player, right? So it's all the sacrifices, it's the hours of training and, hours of, you're doing things that help you and guide you in that direction, right? So that's my advice is just be yourself. And you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. So a lot of us, I'm going to be honest. A lot of people would then say, "What makes this guy tick? What's the secret to your success?" But you get people saying you playing as a professional soccer player. They get to see little glimpses and pieces of your training sessions from the videos that the club puts out, and they get to see you during the game. But then then people want to know, what is it that Tendai does that gets them to be this successful? So what's the secret to your success?
Like, I mean, I've already established that from a young age. Like, I've been that kind of person that's hard to say. When someone says no, like I'm like, yes. Like that's always been my mentality. So, of course I've had people like doubt, like, oh, for example, before I came here, people were like, oh, you're going to the United States. There's no way, you go to the United States. And it happened in the United States. And I told people like, oh, I want to, play professional soccer, and they'll tell you, oh, that's not going to happen. And it happened. So it's a mentality thing. It's a mentality. Like, it's all your mind. If you tell yourself that you are going to be successful, then you've already set your mind to it. Now all you got to do is just follow through with it, right? No matter what people are saying behind, no matter what's going on around you, but you've already told yourself that, and you just have to keep focusing on that. So I think for me, that's what makes me tick. It's just my mentality, knowing that that's what I want to do. This is like my drive. Okay, there's nothing else. Whether there's distractions or anything around me, I'm still focused on what I want.
Oh, that's good. So yeah, I think as you rightly put it, it's all down to the mental aspect of it. A lot of people, it's you easily give up, maybe because of what your parents say, maybe what your friends say, but then it's all in the mind and being focused on your goals as well. So yeah, that's a very good secret to share with the kids as well. So now we were talking about you wanting to get a national team call up to the Warriors or the national team of Zimbabwe. Now I'm going to give you a chance to sell yourself. Let's say it is the coach is currently watching the interview. What would you want them to know about Tendai the player?
What I want them to know about me is the coach should know that I'm a handful. I'm a handful in the fact that I play my position to the best of my ability. I'm very good at it, and I think I'm one of the best left backs you probably get. I worked hard. I've worked very, very hard to be where I am. I'm still very humble to be willing to learn much about the game. I don't know everything, but I do know that I'm going to put all my effort in trying to help out the team as much as possible.
Okay, okay. Yeah, hopefully the new coach is watching. He's a European guy. Uh,
Yeah.
for the sake of me not twisting my tongue, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name.
Coach Loga. I just keep it short and simple here, Coach
Yeah,
Loga.
Coach Logan, that's right. So,
Yeah.
who do you emulate? Who's your role model?
That's a good question. So when I was growing up, um, I used to emulate Ryan Giggs.
Uh-huh.
I remember, yeah, when I was still young, and part of it was, when I went to primary school, I saw some kids playing and I joined them, and they started calling me Ryan Giggs, right? So like I didn't really know him like that well, but I started watching him more and more, and I could see like how it related, and I would try like emulate like the way he played and all that, right?
Uh-huh.
But as I grew older, who I emulate now is myself, right? Um, I look at my memories, like my history, my past, and where I am now, and still I'm like I haven't achieved anything yet. But if I was a little kid and I'm looking at myself now, obviously I'm gonna emulate myself. You know,
Uh-huh.
uh, I feel like I've worked hard, and I'm still continuing to work hard. I haven't really achieved much as for my standards, but I'm still hungry, to achieve more.
Yeah, I guess being hungry is what you need to make it in life. A lot of the times, it's the main difference is between the guy who really wants it the most. It's
Hmm.
not just about wanting it. You have to be passionate about it. You have to be hungry about it. So now, how would you say college soccer prepared you for being a professional athlete? So, but a lot of kids when they think of college soccer, right? They're basically thinking maybe it's a Division Two level in Zim, but there's quite a lot of differences, to be honest. Uh, Straight up from the budget, straight up from the professionalism and everything. So, how would you say college soccer in the United States helped you prepare for life as a professional soccer
Yeah. Talk about, and one word I'm going to throw out there is like maturity, right? Um, when you come in at college and you're playing it with different players from all over, um, it's one thing because like yeah, you might feel like that a lot about the game, but the more you play the game, the more you understand the game, the more you get knowledgeable about the game, and the better you become. So for me, like I think college was a very very important part of that because I don't think I would have been where I am right now,
play?
if it was college. Yes, of course, like there's the school side of it, but there's also like the soccer side of it because all those experiences that I had, all those moments, all those games, um, everything that I went through in college, um, helped prepare me to be at this level.
No.
You see, so it was a very very important part of me being successful.
Yeah, that's true. And so tonight, would really much want to thank you for being with us, for taking time off your busy schedule to be in this interview, and hopefully be an inspiration to a lot of kids out there. Because basically, what we're trying to do with the program, our recruitment journeys, is try to document the life of the people who we think kids in Zimbabwe might want to emulate. These are guys like yourself. We talk and show it's really much possible. It is possible. It is not out of reach to realize your dreams, right?
Mm.
So hopefully when we talk with guys like you, we're looking forward to having kids then say, you know what, I want to be like that guy. Our society, we feel our society needs role models, people such as you, who have positive impacts in the lives of those kids. Like currently in Zimchija Bora, as they say, it is basically you not wanting to do anything else other than just playing soccer. But then
Yeah.
the truth is, not everyone is going to make it as a professional soccer player.
Hmm.
The top 1% of all the players who've played sport at any point in time are the ones who make it as professional soccer players. So you have to know the balance that has to be there. You need to be educated. You need to prepare for life. should anything happen, you can get an injury. You can also prepare for life after soccer. So talking to guys like you is very good on our part, and hopefully we get to motivate some of the kids out there. So what would you say to the kids out there as a word of inspiration, just to also be a positive on a positive, to end this on a positive note for them as well?
Yeah. What I say is the sky is the limit. Okay, the sky is the limit. Like you just, what you were just talking about, like how like kids, like, they're talking about Chija border. I was there. I was one of them, Chija border, like, ish. And my mindset was just on, I want to play soccer. There's nothing else I want to do. And obviously I had conversations with my family about that, and there was friction because family's like, you gotta get an education because you're not gonna play soccer. And I think it came to me at some point. I was like, all right, I'm gonna make this sacrifice. I'm gonna go to college, but at the same time, I'm doing what I love, right? So it's about having a good balance, and I feel like that was the best decision I've ever made, because coming to college, obviously, it opened up so many doors. You start seeing things in a very different perspective. But at the same time, I'm getting free education, education, and I'm enjoying doing what I love the most, right? So that was eye opener. So for me, I would say the sky is the limit. Don't limit yourself to what you only just see. Okay, obviously, being in Zimbabwe, yes, it's so easy just to say, oh, this is all I can do, right? This is like the only thing. But there's so many things that you can do. There's so many things that you can open your eyes to, and you can achieve anything that you want to achieve.
Yeah, that's very true. So thank you, Tendai. We very, very, very much appreciate you taking the time. And we also want to thank you guys for tuning in. We hope next time we're going to have Frank Mtanti, who's also an old school boy of yours. He was at Prince Edward High School. He's currently in Missouri. He's one of the most talented kids we've seen. And we're going to talk about his recruitment journey as well. And he also aspires to be a professional. So hopefully he also makes it so that we also have a story to talk about as well. So thank you guys for tuning in.